All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm John Gray, and we're just plain living.
Good morning, John Gray. I'm Peggy Burton. How
Yes,
nice
you
to
are.
be here.
We're both glad to be here. Is this the last day of January?
It is the last day of January. Tomorrow is February 1st. Can you believe it?
I can.
Okay.
I can look by. Yeah, like you say, behind us
you came and decorated.
we've got hearts, and we don't have flowers yet, but we'll get them. We're getting there.
Have you written us a Valentine poem
No,
yet?
well, I'm holding off a few things for next week, except
okay.
for one thing I'm not going to hold off.
What's that?
And that is to remind everybody that the South Jackson Street Band is playing
In Bell Buckle.
at the Bell Buckle Banquet Hall, as they do every Valentine's
Right.
weekend.
We're excited about it. We love to go there. It's the best food in the country, and more food than you
And
can
more
have.
food. It's the best food you can have, and then they bring more food.
I know that. They're very gracious and generous. Anyway, if you don't have a ticket, just go to Bell Buckle Banquet Hall events. I think you can
Right.
get a ticket online.
And that beautiful band plays that wonderful swing and dance music, and I would imagine that you're going to have your featured singers.
Well, it'll be me and Jerry. Jerry Anderson this time, yeah. Because Samantha is in a play, working on a play. Doreen's working on a play. But anyway.
Y'all are all
we're
we
gonna
need. You're
hold-
all I've ever needed. It's always fun when somebody else shows up and does
Yeah,
a couple.
I think so.
It's funny how you go down a rabbit hole and you're listening to music on your phone, and you get to these people playing music just show up.
Right.
And mine are basically usually instrumentalists, because I like guitars, and there's Reinhardt, Django Reinhardt shows up, and
Yeah.
Joe Pass, and these people who are just virtuoso guitar players. And
Joe
it's
Pass.
fun, but it's fun to listen to their take and how they sort of jazz up or slow down or play a favorite song, but they put their own spin
They all
on it.
have their own spin and their own styles.
Own
so to
style,
speak.
and it's just wonderful.
Joe Pass made me remember Louis Primavera, that used to play with our band. And he had played with all the greats, everyone you can think of. B.B. King, and I can't name everybody, but
Yeah, sure.
Chet Atkins.
Sure.
Fabulous player.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And I understood that he started playing when he was a little bitty boy. And we're going to have a young man on our show today that I hope you'll stay tuned
Oh, please,
to watch.
please do.
Mr. Alex Davis.
And his first name is
Alex.
Alex Davis.
That's got a ring to it.
It does. That's
he's gonna be
strong.
famous,
That's a
yeah.
strong.
He's already a
Alex.
little famous,
Alex
yeah.
is a strong name.
It is a strong name. Anyway, we're
So-
excited to have him on our show today, and he'll be playing some of
And-
his fabulous banjo.
And he's speaking with Alex and his dad out there about some stuff in the past. I found out that we have a common friend in Biscuit.
Yeah.
Biscuit Davis is played. The Hartman family used to have a festival at Wartrace, and the
I
first
knew the
festival.
Hartmans well, yeah.
First festival, and it was they had the great players were down there, and there was this young boy named Biscuit, and Biscuit ended up winning the competition, banjo player, and ended up working for Dolly, and what do you know, he's Alex's teacher.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, just
And the
years
beauty
ago.
of
That's been
technology,
years and
he
years.
can have virtual lessons now.
Sure.
He doesn't have to go face to face. They can, and that is one of the wonderful things about technology.
Oh, it is. It is. It is.
And it's great that he can do that, because,
So, did you watch any football this weekend?
you know, John, I would like to tell you that I sit up there all night long and all day and watch football.
But you didn't.
No, I watched it intermittently, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still fighting a sciatic nerve pain, and so I have to exercise a lot. And so sometimes I exercise and watch a little bit of football.
Yeah, and it's out on the treadmill. You get on your
I do
treadmill
the
like you used to.
I'm finally back on the treadmill. For a while I couldn't do it.
Yeah. That's when you usually text me when you're on the treadmill. 2 o'clock in the morning, Peggy's texting. What are you doing? Treadmill. I'm on the treadmill. What are you doing? I'm writing a song.
I know.
Writing a story.
Yeah, it's all is getting better, I think.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Well, what reminds me, what I'm thinking about, what I was thinking about this morning is immediately when the Eagles won and the Chiefs won, the first thing that happened, I mean, before they ran a beer commercial, there was a commercial about buying championship hats.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you want to be a champion, wear the champion. I mean, this hadn't
championship hat.
happened, which means they had to have
They have to do it ahead
stuff
of time.
ready for everybody because they didn't know who was going
Right.
to win. But I'm sure they'd make enough off of it to pay for
Yeah.
the other side. But it's amazing, and you think about, we just finished the college football season, and we're into basketball. There's how much team stuff gets sold.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a team.
Millions of dollars made off of teams.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge, huge, huge. And what's so wonderful now is I can remember the Fab Five, which was a basketball team, all freshmen, that almost won the national championship. And the university where they went made a fortune off of them. Those kids couldn't even afford to go
I
home.
know, that's sad, wasn't it?
But they were jerseys were selling, you know, and so
Yeah.
now these college kids are paid.
They're getting paid.
And they can do commercials and they can do their own business. And
Do you think that most colleges require that the athletes keep their grade point average up? If they're a fabulous player, do you think they still are required to keep their grade average
to a
up?
certain extent, I would say. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to be an accountant, you go to college to learn upper level accounting.
Right.
If you want to be a football player for a living, you go to a college to learn how to play football. I mean, why not have a degree in sports? Why should these people have to take, and I know we want our children to be intelligent, and they need to know how to manage their money. But
Oh, yeah.
part of a sports degree would be money management.
Money management.
You know, but the thing about it is, you look at the commercials on television when they're showing these games, and they show all of these people playing every sport in the world, men, women, girls, boys, and they're national champions and they're state champions. And at the end of the commercial, it says only 2% of us play pro sports.
Interesting, yeah.
So 98% of all those athletes that are in college don't
make the
go pro.
right.
So they've got to learn how to do something while they're there. It's not up to the
Exactly.
university to make them do it. It's up to them, in my mind.
But they have to keep some kind of
Well, sure, they
grade
do.
point
No, they
average
won't
up.
let them just lay in bed all day. They got to do something.
Yeah, regardless of what you do, you need to be prepared to pay for yourself.
Right. So with that, I thought about a couple of things. I'm a hat guy.
I know.
I'm
Love
a
your
hat guy.
hats.
And the first thing is, I was looking one day at my hats, and some of them are beat up and old and horrible, but I just
So now
can't
you've
get
written
rid of them.
You've written a hat story.
This is called That Old Hat. Cracks in the straw glued together, brim bent to keep the sun off his face. Has one for every kind of weather, for every situation, no matter what time or place. That old hat's always on his head, except when he's eating or when he goes to bed. His life's work is painted by the stains on the brim. It doesn't define the man, but it speaks volume about him, that old hat. He used it as a lunch pail, to dip a drink from a stream, to cover his face under a tree while he was in search of a dream, to carry eggs from the coop, capture a pesky rat. There's no end to the uses for that old hat. There's a wall in the hall where some are hung up. in different stages of abuse and care. Each one has a story to tell, or it wouldn't be hanging there. That old hat, it's always on his head, except when he's eating or when he goes to bed. His life's work is painted by the stains on the brim. Doesn't define the man, but it speaks volumes about him, that old hat. He might poke cows, farm land, or work the trades. But be it straw, cloth, or felt, it's always American made. That old hat.
Old hats. I love old hats.
Old hat.
We always collected old hats, and when a birthday party came on, we had all these different hats that people put on, and then they had to act out who they were in the hat.
This is my hat. This is my hat rhyme.
All right,
Okay?
go ahead.
Hats. We love our hats. When we crawled out of the ocean and walked upon the land, it didn't take long for man to understand. The ability to reason was a gift from the Lord, so no matter what else happens, you must protect your gourd. Hats. Hats, we love our hats. Hide hats, furred hats, lovely feathered bird hats. Hats made of metal when you're fighting other men. Hats of institution when you need to get in. Hats. Hats, we love our hats. A good luck hat is never washed, holes never sewed. A fishing hat full of lures, some never throwed. Derby, cowboy, Homburg, Lord knows what they cost, but you'll spin it all again if ever one gets lost. Hats. Hats, we love our hats. Small hats, big hats, life is good and knit hats. Hats made of straw to shade an ivory face. Hats for a summer ride tied down with lace. Hats. Hats, we love our hats. A stocking cap to take a nap, a shower cap to bathe, a cop's hat to lock 'em up, a fireman's hat to save. Michigan's yellow or blue, the Cubs, the Broncos, LSU. When my hair looks like crap, I just put on my baseball cap. Hats. Hats, we love our hats. Soft hats, hard hats, dress up and yard hats, a bathing house hat for when you dip, a drinking hat for when you sip, a Sunday hat for when we pray, a top hat for a wedding day. Hats. Hats, we love our hats. We don't care if they're hip or square, we sure do love our hats. This could go on forever because there's thousands that we don, so find your favorite hat and put that sucker on. Hats. Hats, we love our hats. We'll be back
You've
after
done a hat
these
wrap.
messages.
That's a great hat wrap.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For many senior citizens, life looks like this, but it doesn't have to. When you make your home at Parkview Senior Living, life after retirement takes on a whole new meaning. Daily exercise options, fun outings, happy hour, game nights, movies and popcorn, arts and crafts, enjoying friends over chef-prepared meals. Parkview Senior Living, where you're always home, but you're never home alone.
He's a little bit of you, he's a little bit of me. He's the trash along the roadside of Tennessee. He's the garbage that we find. He's the dream we left behind. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash. Tennessee trash. Lord, ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash.
We have met the enemy, and he is us.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There are a lot of opinions being shared. But I had the chance to talk with my doctor about my concerns. He told me the vaccines are backed by decades of research, and that the vaccines are proven safe and effective. Now I'm protected and ready to put this pandemic behind us. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Go ahead. Fabulous. I am so impressed. I want you people to meet Alex Davis. Alex is a 4th grader at North Coffee County Elementary School.
Yeah.
And how long have you been playing the banjo?
Almost 2 years now.
2 years.
Yeah.
And what came to your mind that made you want to play the banjo?
Well, my dad got me my first banjo on Christmas, maybe 3 years ago, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do anything with it for a couple years. I didn't show any interest until I just started asking my dad some questions, and he started teaching me some rolls.
Little rolls and licks and...
Yeah. And then he said I just got away from him, and he gave me to another banjo teacher.
I know. You told us about your banjo teacher and how you'd had a virtual class, and that's a fabulous thing that you can do at your age that kids, when I was little, couldn't do that because we didn't have that technology. All of us are anxious to hear you play more music. So what was the name of that first song?
Cowboys and Indians.
Cowboys and Indians. I really liked that. It had some nice energy in it. So what are you going to play now?
Lonesome Road Blues.
Lonesome
song.
Road Blues. I love the blues. Heard that before, but I've never heard it done that well. I just absolutely loved it. Do you have a favorite style? Or do you just pick up different songs?
I just pick up different songs, like I do single string, like Don Reno style.
Right.
And I do some melodic, like Jerusalem Ridge, and
I see.
yeah.
And you don't really have a favorite. You just like to do it all.
I just like to do.
You've won a few contests, haven't you?
Yeah.
What was the last one you won?
The last one I won was I've done a lot of contests. I think it was the
Well, it doesn't matter.
State
What do you,
fair.
the state fair?
Yeah.
That was a big one, wasn't it?
yeah,
And you were playing up against grown men.
yeah.
And they were just standing there with their mouths hanging open, thinking, where did this come from? I am so excited to meet you, Alex. To see a young person that has got their hands off of their phone and onto a banjo doing wondrous things. I know we have time for one more song, so what would you like to play?
I'll go back to sea. This is a song called Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home, okay. And I bet you practice more than 3 minutes a day. How much do you practice?
Maybe 20, 30, sometimes even an hour.
Even an hour, however much you feel like it.
Yeah.
And when you hear something new, are you quick to pick that up?
Yeah, kind of.
I know your dad, Keith Davis, had a lot of influence on you because he taught you some of your first licks. Well, who's your biggest fan right now, or person that teaches you the most? Your recent teacher, I guess. Is
Well,
what I'm talking
I
about.
guess Gary Biscuit Davis.
Gary Biscuit Davis. Interesting that he has the same name.
No, we're not related.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting. And he lives in Sevierville, does he, or where?
Knoxville.
In Knoxville. And so you do lessons over FaceTiming and...
Yeah, and then after the FaceTime, he sends me some videos to, like, if I didn't really get it or kind of like forgot it.
He just sends you videos and you learn it from that.
Yeah.
Were your fingers raw when you first started playing?
Yeah.
And how long did it take to get them tough enough to do what you do?
A week or two, maybe.
several. I know that.
Because after the first day, they really started to hurt. And then
Right.
the second day, it was like, wow, this doesn't hurt as much.
And it got better and better as the time went by. Well, I know that we are blessed that you came out of school today to play for us and be on our TV show, and we hope to have you back.
Thank you.
And I know you're going to win every prize out there because you're a really great player and you're a nice young man. We will be back with some other stuff. Yay.
Hi, my name is Ringo, here at Parkview Senior Living. They're human friendly. That's why I love it here, and so does my senior human. When they want a bite, they get chef-prepared meals, and so do I. Movies in the theater, day trips, walks on the trail, and other senior humans to play with. The grass and the grounds are exquisite. It's everything my human needs to be healthy and active. Parkview. A Parkview Senior Living. For your dog's best friend, you.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches, baby? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes. Look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you got to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us and outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat.
Hello everyone, I'm John Rickman.
And this is Pat Welch, and we're here today for segment 53 of the Conversations with John and Pat. What you got, John?
Well, this little song I wrote a good ways ago. I don't know if I've done it in Tullahoma or ever out, but we're going to try it. I've been saved, I was lost, but Jesus found me, burdened down with guilt and sin. He lifted me up from my burden to a mountaintop where I had never been. I've been saved, I've been snatched from the fire, I've been saved by a higher power. Jesus came into my heart and made me whole. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul. All of my life I'd heard about Jesus, how he bled and died on Calvary. I never knew till I met Jesus. Those precious drops of blood were shed for me. Now I've been saved, I've been snatched from the fire, I've been saved. By a higher power, Jesus came into my heart, made me whole. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul. One of these days, I'll cross that river over to the other shore. And in that land, I'll be with Jesus. There I shall dwell with him forevermore. Now I've been saved, I've been snatched from the fire, I've been saved. By a higher power, Jesus came into my heart, made me whole. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul. Now I know I'm right with Jesus in my soul.
All right, John.
That's fun.
It was. And you need to play that outside of Marshall County a little bit more often.
Well, you're right. I need to do that more often, I guess.
Yeah.
Never know how well it's accepted with. Sometimes you think, did I write that? Will it be received well? And I think that you can't get more basic.
Yeah.
Than that.
Is that, you intended that to be a segue for today's program, didn't you?
Yeah, because we're going to talk about a cemetery.
That's right. We have noted several times that both you and I may have a little bit of a morbid affinity to old cemeteries. We like to go into old cemeteries and glean the history from it and kind of figure out who's in there and how they got there and that kind of thing. And we also like old churches. And I travel into the Knoxville area, calling on lumber yards every other week. And so every other week, I travel a highway, I believe it's 411. It's a state highway that's a 2-lane out in the country. And between Seymour and Maryville, I started passing this really pretty old brick church where they had a cemetery in the front, and from the front of the church you can see the Smokies. It's a really picturesque place. Yeah. And the name, I finally, after passing it 4 or 5 times, I couldn't stand it any longer. I got a little bit ahead time-wise one day and pulled off. And the name of the church is Eusebia Presbyterian Church. And that area was at least one time was called Eusebia, and it had basically it was Tennessee Frontiers people that would have come from North Carolina. A lot of them were descendants or directly had fought in the Revolutionary War and got these land grant rewards for their service, and that they would have gone to North Carolina and then immigrated or moved through the mountains to East Tennessee. There were about 40 families that were mostly Scotch-Irish that settled in that area. And let's see here, I got to go to my notes, John. The first Presbyterian preacher who preached there, and I believe the Presbyterian faith was the dominant religion of Christianity for the Scotch-Irish. The first preacher that came there was a frontier Presbyterian preacher, and when he preached, he had a musket beside him and a powder
just in case.
Yeah, just in case the Indians got a little bit restless during the sermon. But he preached there in, I believe it was 1786, and that's considered the establishment date for Eusebia Church. And he named that area Eusebia in this sermon that he first preached there, and again in 1786, and he told the congregation, the people that were assembled there, that it was Eusebia was a Greek word that meant reverence toward God, which I've done a lot of research last night on the internet, and the more I looked, the more interesting it got. He left that area and supposedly wanted to preach and convert Indians. And so the first really full-time pastor they had was a guy named Glendon Blackburn. And he was the first full-time pastor there. And I think he came on board in 1794. And he went into great preparation for his sermons. And the average length of his sermon was supposed to have been 2 hours, and he preached one time for 3.5 hours. And that site where that pull that church back up one more time, Philip, if you don't mind.
You know, Pat, the restaurants would have been closed after that, wouldn't they?
That would have shut them down. They would have. Somebody would have lobbied for them to cut it off maybe a little bit. But on that site was a log church originally, and then over time they built 2 frame churches, and the present church, all of this was on the same location. It was started in 1930 and completed in 1936, and that would have been, of course, right at the height of the Depression. That was an industrious congregation that would have been able to build that church, because it is a really, really pretty brick church that, again, would have been in a very rural area during the height of the Depression.
Before Tennessee became a state.
That's right. No, it would have been after that.
1796 is when Tennessee.
Oh yeah. When it was first established, it was before it was a state. In fact, I think it was part of the old state of Franklin. Mm-hmm. There is a cemetery that starts just behind me when I was taking that picture, that's got hundreds of markers. Some of them are so old that the weather has worn the writing completely off, but they won't take in respect to the deceased, they have not taken any of those markers out. The first burial there, though, was in 1790, so it is a really old cemetery. One of my trips, I stopped to go meandering through the cemetery, and I came to a stone of go ahead and pull it up now. That's Andrew C. Hafley, Hafley, and he was born in 1838 and died in 1907. And right below his date there, it says that he was from Company A, 3rd Tennessee Cavalry. Well, I assumed that was, since it's Tennessee Cavalry, that I mistakenly thought he was fought the Confederate side, but most of rural Upper East Tennessee remained loyal to the Union. That was a Union cavalry. And below that is one of my favorite verses where he's quote, or the scripture says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints," and that's right below this the donation of the Civil War service that he had. I looked that company up. Company A of the 3rd Regiment was all made up of Unionist people from Knox County and Blount County, and this cemetery is in what now is Blount County. And that cavalry, for most of the war, they were assigned to guard railroads in both Middle Tennessee and North Georgia and North Alabama, which once it became in Union control, the Confederates would try to come up there and tear the railroad up and disrupt supply movements and so forth. And Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was born in Chapel Hill, John, you're well aware of him, he was trying to stop him. He was trying to tear the roads up, or the railroads up, and of course these people were trying to stop him. They've served Company A, or the 3rd Regiment Tennessee Cavalry, served at Stones River, and their next major assignment was in the Tullahoma campaign, which lasted June 23rd to July 7th, and they were also involved in the last battle, basically in Middle Tennessee, which is the Battle of Nashville. And at one time, that regiment had about 1,600 men. And final records show they lost 546 people. 10 of them, 2 officers and 8 enlisted men, were killed in battle, and all the rest, 536, died of disease. Which that's pretty incredible that they had that much contagious disease that it almost wiped them out. Now, another interesting part of this is that when I said that they guarding railroads in Middle Tennessee and North Alabama, they were in Athens, Alabama one time, near a railroad trestle, and guess who attacked this Union cavalry? Nathan Bedford Forrest. And he captured a large group of them, and they were in prisoner of war camp for about a little over a year, I believe. And at the end of the war, the Confederacy gave up these prisoners before the actual terms of peace were finally settled out, and they moved them to Memphis, and they put a lot of them there on a boat, and they were a steamer, and they were going to take them up north to let them go free. And the greatest maritime tragedy of American history was this boat called, the name of the boat was the Sultana, and it had capacity of 376 men, and they put 2,155, most of them were Union soldiers, on that boat to go north. And this was in the spring, I believe, and had a lot of flood waters, and so the Mississippi, of course, flows south, and this boat's needing to go north in fast waters, way overloaded, supposed to carry 376 and had over 2,100, and they had 4 boilers for the steamship, and 3 of them exploded 7 miles north of Memphis, and great loss of life. Something like 1,196 of them died, and I think this event would have had more publicity and more notation in history if it wasn't for the fact that that happened the day after Lincoln was assassinated. So much of the national media was concentrated on that assassination instead of all that loss of life. But 260 people that would have served with this Hafley gentleman were drowned or killed during the explosion itself. And I can't find out whether Hafley was he captured at Athens, or he was, not all the whole group, of course, was captured, but he lived to 1907. So
good history lesson, Pat.
The more I looked at it, the more interesting I got, and I can promise, John, I can promise you and our viewership that won't be the last time I stop by the Eusebia Presbyterian Church and Cemetery. It is a wealth of history in that.
Pat, thank you so much.
And John, I talked to you yesterday on the phone too. Now that we have found by accident a Union soldier, we'll come back with a segment that I have found in the past of a Moore County burial of a Confederate cavalryman, and we'll bring that up at a later time and let people get ready for that. And so and we appreciate management letting us go a little bit over time today. And that concludes segment 53.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for
tuning in,
for bearing with me too. Thank y'all.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Clayton's has been Tullahoma's shoe store for over 120 years, and Florence Hall continues that tradition today. We're the only shoe store in town that starts with measuring your foot to make sure you get the perfect fit in a quality shoe. That includes narrow through wide widths for men, women, and children. Clayton Shoes, the family shoe store you'll love.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker boards.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Okay, we're back and we're going to do a little bit more promotion on Valentine's because
it's coming up.
It's coming up, and your band is going to be at the Bell Buckle Banquet Hall on the 14th.
No, on
the 12th.
We're on the 11th, Saturday night.
Saturday night, and Valentine's is on
the 14th. Whatever day that
whatever
is.
day that is, 11th, 12th, or it's Tuesday.
But we're going to be there Saturday.
We're going to be there. You're going to be there on the 11th.
Right.
And what is that ticket? What does that ticket cost?
I wish you hadn't asked me that question because
no matter what it is, it's worth it.
it's well worth it. It would maybe 30, 35.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm guessing because I haven't checked it out. But there's the information. If you want a ticket, you just call in. And
but there's not that
I
many.
guess they still have a few.
Well, there's not that many places now that, I mean, I can remember, of course, when we had the Legion open.
Right.
There were other dance clubs like that. There was one in Fayetteville, and there was somewhere in Manchester
Do
to
we
go.
even have a space that big in Tullahoma?
No,
And I
not
think
anymore.
that's really sad.
Excuse me. Well, I think the VFW still has some dances at their in their little facility.
I think it's mostly country. I think.
But that was back in the time when the bands would come through. I know there was a doctor's band from Fayetteville that came through, and usually I would interview the bands. They interviewed me.
Yeah.
They said, we want to come and look at your place, look at your facility, look at your security. And the reason why is we're all doctors and we can't afford to get in a fight.
Right.
and do something with our hands where we make our living.
Exactly.
And so, there was great security and there was a dance 2 nights a week and the place was packed.
I'm sad that time has passed because ballroom dancing is so beautiful and dancing is so good for you.
It's good for your health.
I mean, if you do nothing but dance through your life, you keep your muscles strong and
Sure.
your back straight,
Sure.
and you might not get sciatic nerve pain.
and the thing about it is the music, that the big band era, that music was so incredibly well written.
It was well written, and it takes really good players to play the music.
Right.
They practice a lot. And
how many do you have in your band? You got about what?
Well,
15, 16?
No, the whole group is, including our sound man, is 21.
Well, that's a bunch of playing and work.
Right. And they're wonderful musicians. And
They are.
They're from all around Middle Tennessee, and they come a long distance just to rehearse. And to them, it's not about the money, it's about the music.
Players got to play.
Players got to play.
Singers got to sing, and dancers got to dance.
And it's important, I think, that we remember that we need to open up places where that can happen.
I heard last year, and I was kind of happy that we went through a little era about 20 years ago or so or more, where a lot of the young people were taking swing dancing lessons.
Right.
And they would come to the Legion, and they would have the long coats on and the watch fobs and all of that, and the spectator shoes, and the girls would be dressed in those 20s and teens dresses.
Yeah.
And they would absolutely do that, and it was wonderful.
I know, and I'm sad that we don't have more of that now, because learning to ballroom dance it's a wonderful thing to do.
Well,
anyway.
And I heard last year or so that there was somebody going to open up a club downtown Nashville, specifically for
ballroom dancing.
Linen tablecloth, cocktail type.
I think we have a song we're going to show.
Yeah, we're going to
With
do
the
that
band.
as soon as we get through talking right here.
Is you is or is you ain't
you
my
is
baby.
or is you ain't my baby.
Who can
Well,
answer
is you
that?
is or is you ain't my sister.
Well, maybe.
Maybe. Hey, wait a minute. Before we go to this, I do have a sister, and she is recovering from hip surgery. My sister Candy, and I want to know: we've got to find out what kind of insurance she has, because her insurance is sending her to Hawaii to the hula the hula hip replacement therapy over there to get
She's going to Hawaii.
Her therapy is going to be hula lessons.
Well, I want to go too.
The hula hip replacement therapy in Hawaii.
I can't believe that.
That's where Candy's going. She's going to shoot me for that. It's all a lie. But we're glad that she got her hip replaced.
And I hope she's doing well.
In a couple of weeks, she'll be out here dancing just like these folks are going to dance too.
Right.
Is you is,
or is
you ain't my sister.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
For many senior citizens, life looks like this, but it doesn't have to. When you make your home at Parkview Senior Living, life after retirement takes on a whole new meaning. Daily exercise options, fun outings, happy hour, game nights, movies and popcorn, arts and crafts, enjoying friends over chef-prepared meals. Parkview Senior Living, where you're always home, but you're never home alone.
Okay, here we go.
3, 2.
3, 2, 1.
COVID-19 has been a really long and difficult fight.
So when we start talking about COVID, I completely get it. It's frustrating.
We've all been impacted one way or another.
The fight against COVID is also changing really quickly.
And it's sometimes really hard to keep up.
So here are a few things we know.
We are not fighting the same virus from 2020.
Right now, new variants are a lot more contagious and need to be taken seriously.
Getting vaccinated and staying boosted is the best way to keep you protected from COVID-19 and help you stay out of the hospital.
Even if you got COVID before, it's important that you go get your COVID booster.
COVID vaccines are safe.
Much safer than getting COVID-19.
We all want this to end sooner than later.
So go ahead and do things.
Go out and live your life, but get vaccinated. Stay boosted.
We can all do our part.
And get back to living. You can go to getvaccineanswers.org for more information.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Why, good morning there. Thanks, John. Good to see everybody. You and TV land, we're glad that y'all are seeing us too. Thank you, camera ladies. Good to see y'all. Couldn't do it without y'all. And hello, Dot, and hello, Justine, and hello, all our good viewers and listeners that have said they like this segment of the show. We love to share it with you. Let me ask you to go back in time, not too far back, but about 1940. This time of year, in 1940, 60 years ago, the war clouds were rumbling, and it looked like that good old U.S. of A. might be involved in some wartime activities, and the authorities that powers that might be selected in their selections of training camps for Army and Navy and Air Force, selected Tullahoma to be a training ground for the Army because the terrain around here was much like that in Luxembourg and France and Germany. And of course, even before 1940, Tullahoma had always been a training ground for military people. Like in 1926, Governor Austin Peay established a National Guard training center in East Tullahoma, where the Tennessee National Guard came every summer for a 2-week training from all over the state, and they trained at Camp Peay. Most of it was infantry, but even before that, from January of 1863 to July of 1863, General Braxton Bragg had some 25,000 troops in Tullahoma and Manchester and Sheville, having retreated from the Battle of Stones River in Murfreesboro. So Tullahoma and the surrounding area have been for many, many years the center of training activities for the armed forces. Now, back in 1940, it was determined that they were going to build a big Army training center in Tullahoma. That decision was made in September of 1940, and construction began in late October of 1940. And Governor Prentice Cooper named this Army training base Camp Forrest in honor of our great Southern Cavalry leader, General Nathan Bedford Forrest from Memphis, that was a great leader during that time of the Civil War. And rightly so, because he was such a great, great leader. And Tullahoma, a sleepy little town of 3,000 or 3,500 people in September of 1940, grew almost overnight to 15,000 and 20,000. The workers came in from all over the southeastern United States seeking jobs for the construction of the camp. They slept in cars, they slept in trucks, they slept in tents, they slept in attics, garages, barns, wherever they could find a place to rest their head. And to get a job, they had to belong to the Carpenters Union, whose headquarters was in the back of a grocery store on Wall Street in Tullahoma. And they'd go to sign up to get a job as a carpenter, and the union officials asked them, "Where are your tools?" And they said, "Well, don't they furnish tools out there where they're building?" They said, "No, you got to go get some tools." So Lawson's Hardware was just 2 doors from there, and those seeking membership in the union would go up to Lawson's and buy a hammer or a yardstick or a pound of nails or something related to construction, and go back down and they'd sign them up in the Carpenters Union. They all those construction workers and truck drivers and lumber people worked around the clock for months and months and months. That winter was one of the worst winters that was ever took place in this area. It was either mud one day or dust the next. It was just horrible. But they've got gravel to try to lay some roads out there where they could get to the construction site. And those big old international dump trucks got gravel from the quarry at Normandy and Lynchburg and Hillsborough. And again, they work around the clock to get that material down there. Well, the first troops moved in late February of 1941. The 181st and 191st Field Artillery moved in, and they were from Middle Tennessee. And then in March, the Illinois National Guard was federalized, the 33rd Division, and they moved in March of 1941, some 25,000 of them. And they went on maneuvers, and the picture that you see now is Gate 1. I made this picture in 1941, and it's straight now, I think. I hope. Can you see it? I hope you can. I was waiting. I delivered papers out there and delivered groceries out there, and I was waiting to get in the gate at that time. And while I was waiting, I stuck my little camera out the truck window and made this picture. It's the only picture I've ever seen of Gate 1. It's been used by hundreds of people, and it's put on a postcard, and that guard that you see in the picture happened to come by a few months ago and said, "You know that picture you made of the Gate 1 in 1941? I said, "Yeah." Well, he said, "I'm the guard that was standing there directing people in," and I had remembered his face, but I didn't know his name. And he was also head of the military police headquarters next to the City Hall up at the corner of Lincoln and Atlantic Street when camp was here. Nice fella. And people come every month or so to visit or show their grandchildren where Daddy served and our granddaddy served in his basic training at Camp Parsons. A very interesting place. It existed from 1941 when it was built until 1946 when they raised it, and you can only see footings and foundations of some of the buildings out there now. But it was a great place, and we really enjoyed meeting a lot of nice people from all over the country. One lady came by a year or so ago and said, "Do you remember where the hospital was?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, my father was in the 168th Field Artillery from Colorado, and my mother was expecting me, and he brought her with him when they came to the Camp Forest, and I was the first baby born at the hospital there at Camp Forest." Very attractive lady. She said if they ever have a reunion or a gathering, I'd love to come and be part of it. But we made a lot of friends through the years, and it's been real fun. Would you believe that when Camp Forest was announced, there were 2 taxi cabs in Tullahoma and Manchester combined, and at the height of the camp there were 886 taxi cabs, in Coffee County, and they stayed busy all the time. The troops got out on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock for a weekend and had to be back on the base by midnight Sunday night. And you can imagine when those special trains came in and brought them back, what a fight it was for a taxi cab. But it was a whole lot of fun, and you know, there was a patriotism and Americanism, a loyalty, and a cooperative effort because of wartime that we haven't seen since then. And everybody enjoyed it and cooperated for the war effort. And let me tell you, there's a whole lot more to come. This is not the end of the story, and I'll be looking forward to sharing some more with you. And until then, you have a good day.
The Bookshelf in Tullahoma is the fundraising arm of the Coffee County Literacy Council. Since 1988, the Literacy Council's goal and purpose has been to support and promote adult basic education in Coffee County. We enable individuals to complete their high school equivalency exam, which helps them get better jobs or continue into higher education. The Bookshelf at 114 Southwest Atlantic Street in Tullahoma is where we sell used books which are donated to us by the community. Come see us, bring your books to donate, and join us as you find every genre of books that you can imagine.
I had a knee replacement, so they've got me in Life Care, which I'm very, very thankful for. I couldn't garden, I couldn't do my flower beds, I can't chase my little dogs. I have been in several therapy sessions for knees and back, and that's the best therapist I believe I've ever been to. It's tremendous because I'm able to walk again, but if it wasn't for the care, I wouldn't be where I am.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
Parkview Senior Living, active, independent senior living at its finest.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, we're back, and Peggy and I we're gonna do some other stuff here to close the show out. And what we're gonna do right now is just wish everybody stay warm.
Stay warm, right?
It's gonna be this week is gonna be it's supposed to maybe have some snow,
freeze.
ice tonight.
I know, I'm doing it.
So buckle down. And
we've been lucky.
I was going to read a piece, but I think our producer has something else he wants to use. a piece that I wrote about the kitchen because
Oh, good.
I love to cook. And this is the time of year that cooking is fun because you're isolated a little bit and you're making comfort food. You're cooking soups and those things that are warm and taste and have a lot of flavor. Huh?
Do you have a favorite soup you cook?
I like most soup. My favorite soup is I make a ham soup that's pretty good.
I bet that is good. Like, especially after you get all the meat off of the ham.
Yeah. I usually make that after Thanksgiving. I make that that's my New Year's soup. I take what's left of the Thanksgiving ham and throw it in the freezer.
And that's what I do with
and then pull it out.
Turkey, with the Thanksgiving turkey.
Pull it out.
Boil everything
New
down.
Year's Eve. Yeah. And cut all of it off and take my different vegetables and saute them and
throw them in there.
Throw them in there and take all of that good ham grease and
make a pan of cornbread. Do you do
cornbread?
That?
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and just the simple things. Like I came home and night before last, and Fran had made some cookies, and I said, "Do you make those cookies?" Because that's something we just don't normally do. Yeah. And she said, "Yeah, I found some dough in the freezer," and so just to have nice homemade cookies.
Yeah, anything like that is
good, you know, and it's always good to have a little something sweet, and we have honey and different things.
Speaking
like
of
that.
A little something sweet, how's your little old cat?
My little old cat Dottie. Well, I got the Band-Aids right here. Let's see. This scar up here is about gone.
Does she come
Dottie's doing fine.
Does she come and gnaw on your hand?
Well, I suffer from the malady that a lot of older people do, is my skin is very thin. Yeah. And where she'll just sort of make a fun swipe, or she'll reach down like she's going to bite me or something, which she doesn't do. But if her tooth hangs in a piece of skin, it just rips it wide open. So little Dottie she had her claws shortened this past weekend. We went to the vet and saw the folks over at All Creatures, and they're real good about what they do. And so, I don't know, little Dottie's the luckiest cat in the world. She couldn't have shown up anywhere that she would have been treated any better. She's getting treated over there at 121 Autumn Lane, I guarantee you that.
Does she sleep up on the bed now?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, Dottie is working on a Chopin piece.
Oh, okay.
Dottie has found comfort on the piano bench.
How neat!
And there's a very nice cushion that what do you call that? Crocheted?
Yeah.
Not crocheted. Where you make flowers and stuff.
Oh,
applicated
I know
or whatever.
I know what you're doing. Cross stitching.
Cross stitch. Yeah, with some cross stitch on it, and it's about that thick. And she's made that her favorite place to rest.
I'm waiting for her to claw it all to pieces. she started scratching it.
She doesn't do that. She's not done that hardly on anything at all, other than my legs.
You know that my cat never scratched on anything until one day I moved the Chase Lounge out in the upstairs to vacuum under it. She had clawed the whole back of that, which was against the wall. That was her scratching post. Yeah,
well,
but
didn't
nothing
make
else.
any difference.
That was all. Nothing
didn't make
else.
any difference. You know, I let Dottie in my room upstairs, not much.
Yeah.
Because that's my sanctuary up there, and she loves going in there. And I looked at her one day, and she's fast.
Oh.
I had no idea how
Cats are
quick
really
a
fast.
cat could be. And she was laying on the floor on her back underneath the couch, and she had her legs up, and I guess she was clawing the bottom of it.
Probably.
She was running as fast upside down as she was right side up. And she'd just go around in a circle underneath that couch.
I love cats.
So I guess if I raised it up and looked under there, the bottom's probably gone. Well, with all that, we started the show with useless drivel. We ended the show with useless drivel. Sister Candy, get well quick, dear. We want to see you back on the street. And all of you folks be safe out there, and we'll see you next week on Just Plain Living. Take care.